think very good evening, everybody. Thank you, Elets Technomedia, for bringing this event in person. I'm looking forward to moderate this session, which is typically around artificial intelligence, RPA, automations. We'll discuss around what has really happened last 2-3 years, how the banking is changed last 2 years, what these bankers and finance experts are doing into the BFSI industry, and what is going to happen next 4-5 years, right? Are we really looking forward completely automated banks? How do we take care of those processes the way we do it manually and so on and so forth? So I think artificial intelligence is now become an integral part of every bank. If I say, if any bank is saying that, no, we don't need artificial intelligence or any kind of automation or any kind of data analytics or data journey, I think they will be wiped out. Right, that's the story today, and that is why every bank, every tech company is looking forward to do a lot of research, work around various use cases on AI. Typically, AI is used everywhere, right? So if you look at a bank's journey, which is around on a channel side, wherein a customer interacts with the bank, or in mid, where most of the processes are there in-house in the bank or insurance companies, BFSI in the back, around data and how do we really take care of data. Typically, AI comes everywhere, right? So AI comes while you do the video KYC or KYC. AI will come in the back end to understand data. I think many banks has done a lot of use cases. We keep hearing 10-second loan, 3 minutes something, right? Onboard a customer on the fly with the Aadhaar and many other APIs. So AI is everywhere, and it always helps. Whatever manually you are doing, it can be really automated. If it is a repetitive task, let's bring on RPA. And based upon bank to bank and organization to organization, if it is a digital first, they may not need AI immediately, but they have to do AI considering there is a lot of competition going on and so on and so forth. So we'll understand from all of our experts out here. So I'll start with the one question to all, right? So last 2 years, everybody was in-house, work from home, different culture, right? And out there, if you really go back and roll back the whole screen in March to 2020, and it was being announced lockdown, don't know what's going to happen in the next 3-4 months, but somehow everybody has survived. If you really look at the digital transformation index for every bank and every company, it has gone multifold. Start imagining, right, how many projects you are doing in the 2019, and today it's altogether we have reached to the next level. And to surpass that level, and the customer expectation is also huge, we need to see what has really happened in the last 2 years. So I'll start with our friend Abhijit. So Abhijit, to you, so you being a practitioner at RBL Bank, followed by now Utkarsh, we'll always look at what are innovations you have done in the past in the bank. So what is that has happened last 2 years? What has really changed, and what is there for you considering AI, data, RPA kind of a journey? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Prasanna. And thanks, Elets Media, for inviting me to speak on this. Thanks for all the fellow panelists. Look, last 2 years is probably the fast forward what happened in last 10 years. And I think the COVID was a reason for it. I'll try to keep my answer within the data space, and probably what I have seen on the data space is happening, added with the RPA and AI, which is the main theme of this topic, today's discussion. So, look, if you look back, 2018-19, the digital waves have started coming in, and people are saying, okay, look, the digital wave will going to, touch every part of the industry, and we're expecting by 25 the digital wave will come in. But the COVID are actually, preponed the full thing. And last 2 years, if you see the topmost industry to the smallest industry, they have adopted digital in some way or other. And those who are not, they are now getting into the space to look into it. But if you look, the journey, what have changed, I have seen it has changed in 2 parts in last 2 years. First, on the data side, the understanding of the data or to the organization has now completely changed. In a sense, previously data was very fragmented, and nowadays people are looking for data availability in a centralized real-time manner to look into various business cases come out of it. And because of so much of digitalization happened in last 2 to 3 years, these use cases now is becoming more relevant and more you have to do as of yesterday sort of stuff. Second thing, what I have seen, especially on the data side, has changed is I have seen a lot of changes has happened on the data engineering side. One is the business side and one is the data engineering side. If you talk about, last 3-4 years back, people are talking about transferring data in hours. Now people are talking about transferring data in minutes and seconds, creating the real-time decisioning. So that requires a huge data engineering transformation happen all across the organizations in the system. And that has, if you look into the big companies like e-commerce or NSCs of the world, doing in-memory data processing and all this, they are early adopters, but it has now become more retailized, and a lot of small organizations also started getting into it. So what used to happen in 5 hours, now it is happening in 5 seconds, and that is actually becoming a reality, and people are adopting to the new realities and adopting the business cases on this.
Yeah, wonderful. I think Abhijit, what is that important now? That data is very, very important, and automation is also very important. We typically onboard a customer, and while onboarding a customer, it takes days, right? If I ask some of you guys, we will open your account in 30 days, what you will say? Your bank is not something like Kotak 811 or DB or RBL and so on and so forth. Because it's a competition now, right? So you have to have give a better experience to the customer while onboarding, as well as once he has become a customer, you need to understand whether is he really your customer, right? So Subramanyam, so you have to guide us. What is that you are doing to make sure that he is your customer? What is that you are bringing on a data side? What is that the journey you have crafted to understand customer sentiments? And how should be a journey for adoption of data governance?
Hey, thanks, Prasanna, for the question. So I lead data and analytics for the Chief Data Office in across the bank, and I head Chief Data Office in India. So I'll not give too much of an India perspective because I don't know that. I deal more with from a global view. So what I can see is happening across the world is there is a data explosion, but it's becoming very difficult to make sense of that data because the metadata is missing. So even for you to make a decision, just the data being there is not enough. You need to know more about the data. You need to know if that is PII or not. You need to know what jurisdiction it belongs to, what is the controlling legal entity, so that you can make decisions on that data. So what I can see happening over the last couple of years is data was always there, but you could not make much use of it. Metadata is getting stitched together along with that data. But for that metadata to be stitched together, metadata has to be gathered. That is happening. So that is a journey that is happening, and thanks to the world of cloud, we are able to take a fresh stance towards that. Now, about your other question, how should an organization approach the world of data? I think a lot of organizations just make the plunge of big data or the cloud when probably they don't need to do that. So I think first and most important thing is looking at your use cases. What exactly are you lacking in your current processes, in your current outcomes, and then choosing the right technologies. It might be a normal Oracle database, a Postgres database, or it might warrant a big data solution. It might be okay to be on-prem, or it might warrant a cloud solution. So that whole self-assessment is, I think, the most important thing that you need to do. And once you've done that, the next step is in establishing a governance process. Once you've done that homework, then you can speed up on whatever journey you've chosen. But most people go on to step 3 without doing step 1 and 2. So what needs to happen? Step 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think good guidance. That way we can really see how we can really adopt this journey, right? And typically based upon bank to bank, what type of a culture you have in the bank, whether they are technology savvy culture, so that we give that use case to the business stakeholders, and they say, yeah, let's go ahead with this tool and something like that. But most of the banks, what we have seen in data journey, the culture was quite a lot issue before pandemic. But today, out of enthusiasm, out of peer pressure, or out of there are a lot of fintechs are also doing the same business which you guys are doing as a bank, right? So it makes sense for every bank to be AI first or automation first. So Dominic, you must have done a lot of innovations during these last 2 years. So what is that changed you individually? Have you studied yourself something around AI, and what are those use cases you are brought in your organization?
Thanks, Prasanna. Okay, I come from a financial institution. So for me, data plays a very important role. Okay, because using data and data only we can analyze, right from building a branch, customer segment, everything can be done. But last 2 years, whatever the COVID or pandemic has taught us, like it's given a real change in the whole the system of workflow. When we have been like first thing I wanted to tell this last 2 years, the way the budget is looked at for technology has been changed. The boardroom is accepted, technology has to be implemented. CFO gets into the digitization part of it. So this has given us a ease in bringing in that technology. The projects which were not executed in the last 2 years, 2-3 years has been executed in the last 6-7 months. To be very frank, we have brought in the RPA process for one particular process which was more of a manual involvement was there, where it's basically a quality check when the documents get uploaded onto the system before the login process, where we have brought in a RPA process. The KYC documents have been automated using the RPA. It reads the documents and clears the documents for login process. This is one of the things. Then we have brought in a little bit of BRE, the business rule engine has been implemented, which is a major breakthrough for a housing finance company because we are more regulated and the kind of customers we serve, it is all EWS and MIG kind of customers, and deviation process have been automated. So AI has played an important role. Simultaneously, RPA has supported AI in getting things done. Basically, AI comes into picture when you have more amount of data. Till you don't have data, AI cannot play an important role. So with acclimating of the data which was there from so many years have been brought out now, because without technology you cannot go ahead. The 2 years of COVID, the 2 years of work from home has made us to study more of data, bring in the technology, make things easier, take decisions easier. So RPA, AI, and to complement all this, analytics plays an important role. One more case study I say, like when MIS is a regulated requirement, every financial organization or banking sector should have a proper automated MIS. Where we were lacking behind for almost 2-3 years, things were there, it was lying at the board level, approvals were pending. But COVID taught us in a different way. Today, I think it took 3 months for me to automate the complete MIS process, which includes your collection, which is very, very important to me post-COVID, because collection is the one which runs the organization post-COVID. That thing, than the business MIS. So there are certain things which COVID has taught us, helped us to build the technology, and technology is playing a very important role. People have understood adopting of technology has gone up these days, and it is all been complemented by the RPA, AI, and on. Above all this is the analytic tool which plays a very important role for us. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic. You spoke about a lot of use cases. So primarily, in my view, also, if you look at AI, it is everywhere in the banking ecosystem. Starting from how do we really help guard a customer who is doing transaction of 100 rupees just to tell him ki, no, this transaction is not required for you, or it is required for you. That kind of a bidirectional support is coming with the help of understanding of data, with the help of big data or AI. I think if you would have spoken about AI, RPA, and all those jargons 5-6 years before, people used to start discussion with what is meant by AI, or what is meant by robotic process automation. And typically people used to say everything is AI, something which is a business rule, it is also AI, something, some repetitive process which is backed by some rules, or it is also an RPA. So it's something all different world altogether. And last 4-5 years we have seen AI has become more and more stronger. Algorithms are in a such a way that you can mimic the way I am talking, or it's a different kind of AI we are bringing in. So it is a view that after 5-6 years, maybe 10 years, we'll have a complete AI-driven, right? AI-driven engine, or AI first. The way we used to say digital first, it's all AI first, or automation first organization we will see. So while there are a lot of challenges around culture, why we are bringing automation, my jobs will go on, the way we have seen when we brought in these PCs in the branches. So Topendra, I think RBL is one of those tech-heavy bank, right? So last 4-5 years, the bank has done massive implementation along with the partners, fintech. It is called as a partner ka bank, right? While we are, or while you are on that journey, there must be a lot of data you have accumulated, right? So how you look at that data, what are those things, what are those use cases you have brought in which can be helpful for our audiences to really see, go back and adopt something like that? Yeah.
Thank you for having me here. And thank you for that question, Prasanna. Just to take a step back, and what, I think my friend Abhijit mentioned a while back, if you go back, 5 decades, every decade has given something big to the industry. So 60s would have given ATM, 70s and 80s gave card, Then came 90s where, 24/7 banking, the network banking came in, or e-banking came in. 2000 to 2010 odd was more of mobile banking. Now is a time when, it is AI-led banking. This decade is mostly there, where effectively, if you see, AI has become native to every journey that we are talking about. So inside a banking premise, where you have different facets, whether it is operations, whether it is customer-facing activity, or whether it is the executive-facing activity, everywhere there is a prevalence or possibility of efficiency-driven or efficiency-led enablement, which is typically what AI brings to the table, primarily. Why does that happen? It happens primarily because we have suddenly now have two big advantages on our plate. One is that you have an infrastructure availability and adoption, which is scalable and large, which is cloud. On the other side, therefore, storage, the cost of data storage has come down drastically. The other thing is, because of adoption of digital, there is humongous data which is getting accumulated. Now, I think most of my co-panelists are from the technology side of it. I come from business. Now, from a business perspective, the use cases are multifold. When I have that kind of data flowing in, where I have behavioral data, I have usage data, I have data in the form of transactions, etc. This volume of data allows me to create use cases across the board where machine learning becomes imperative. So for example, in the front end, I have a scenario where I can actually give you a loan in 2 minutes, like somebody was talking about, or we'd spoken about. So a loan decision engine based on AI, where the model plays on top of the various behavioral data that is collected across maybe a certain period, is something which comes in. Then there is the ops layer, where you have typical RPA. Actually, RPA is 40% of all AI enabled across the globe. So RPA is what? It is just creating efficiencies of across some repetitive tasks, where you use this data to form a model where the engineering capability will improve that process in such a way where it will remove the inefficiencies in the system. And also, therefore, a repetitive task becomes much sharper and quicker. It reduces cost, it improves efficiency, it will give you more productivity. Then you have on the other side of it, which is the executive side of it, where you become much sharper in assessing your business. So that assessment of business itself will give you a lot of upside in the overall scheme of things, because now you have other ways of viewing the same business than in the traditional interface. And therefore, you can actually cut and slice the business parameters in such a way that you can actually tune into better state. So it's a whole round upside that comes in because of AI.
Wonderful. I think we spoke with Abhijit, and then Topendra and Dominic and Subramaniam. Just to summarize, I think it is a must need of every organization. Say it could be an organization which is born yesterday, or a 100-year-old PSU bank, or cooperative bank. So every bank or every BFSI organization need AI to be there, because everybody is practicing around, and everybody want to really have automated processes or efficient processes. And just to summarize furthermore, it starts with the customer journey, onboard customer, say it could be OCR technology or video KYC technology, or followed by once customer is inside and all his transactions, you are accommodating the data, understand the data with the help of big data, and bring back some incentives or some kind of a notification back to the customer. As you rightly said, at the operations side, there are a lot of processes. If you dig out, we could find 300 plus processes to be automated or repetitive processes. Example, reconciliation process which happens daily, backup process at data center, or there could be process addition of deletion of users. I think everybody has to understand what all automations you can do. Say example, in my view, just to support what Subramanian spoke, if you have to start any of those COEs, RPA or AI, you need to understand what all use cases you have in your bank to be automated. Now go back, what all use cases you can do it as a priority, say maybe you could say top 10 use cases and with a partner or in-house, right? As Dominic said, it could be in-house or a partner based, and learn from that and go to the next level. That's how it could be the journey. And it's not only AI, but there are other peripheral technologies, big data, RPA you spoke, and cloud, which is primarily, everybody is now understanding power of cloud technology. So I think, Shaji, you have to guide us, right? As a practitioner on a cloud, what is the significance cloud brings on in the AI journey? Because we keep hearing AWS's, Alexa's, or we keep hearing voice technology, conversational banking, which is going to come up, chatbots, whatnot, right? And which we are not operating, but next level millennial customers are going to do. So how do we be ready for that? So although cloud is there, there are a lot of challenges around cloud, considering data, etc. So as a like new wise, right, who want to understand, can you just guide us on those lines? Yeah.
Sure, Prasanna. Yeah, thank you. So I'm Shaji Puluku. I head data analytics practice with Rapid Cloud Solutions. When I say data analytics, we comprise of IoT, data engineering, and machine learning. So that's the group I handle. I mean, that's the vertical. So majorly, I wanted to focus on one single, the problem over here is kind of a personalization, segmentation, and a recommendation, right? So these are the kind of activities that's currently lacking in the system. So even though we say a huge amount of data is being churned, huge amount of data is being massaged, and visualization is provided, but as a very, very layman perspective, right? If I would say, almost every single day I get a call from a call center representative. It's very, very normal. I'm calling you from ABC Bank Limited. I do have a housing loan product. Would you like to buy it? Me as a customer, the moment I receive this call, my tendency is just picking up and disconnecting it, right? So I am absolutely not really in a place where I wanted to entertain these kind of calls. Unless and until I don't see a personalization, someone who can talk more about me or what exactly is my need, those kind of things are being brought in front of me and do a recommendation to me. And that's exactly when I feel, okay, there is someone who knows about me, and I should start engaging with this kind of vendor, right? So simple example. So think of I'm a person who search for 4 BHK apartment almost day in and day out in my Google page, right? On top of it, what I'll do is I even go at my Instagram page. I just bookmark for a modular kitchen. So that information is good enough for someone, a data scientist, to figure out. This other guy who's going to buy in another 2 to 3 months, there is going to be a guy who's going to buy a housing loan, right? So that's exactly when a product like a banking product can be easily sold. So what a data scientist's responsibility would be, out of those 1,000 customer list, just do a segmentation, right? So I have a guy available with an 80% of confidence interval. I'm going to say, this guy for sure in the next 3 months is going to buy this product. I'm going to put my topmost sales executive over there, 3 times the salary which I'm paying him. I'm just going to employ him to have a conversation with this guy. So from my below 4% of conversion rate, I'm going to make it as close to 40% of conversion rate, because I know what exactly is his experience I need to give him, right? So that's the kind of experience we want to give it to the customer, telling that if there is a conversation like Mr. Shaji Puluku, I'm glad that you have been finalized on a 4 BHK. I would like to know how exactly your finance needs to be managed, right? How exactly you can manage your finance, where exactly it needs to be allocated, how much budget needs to be allocated for a kitchen, how much it needs to be allocated. So these kind of a bundle package product, once you can deliver to your customer, that's become a lucrative things for someone to engage with you and give you a much better product. I mean, that's how exactly I would say about it. Yeah. Thanks.
Shaji, just to add on, you spoke a lot about how consumer behavior is changing and how cloud or AI is really helping for that. What does it mean, right? Can you just emphasize on, is there any use case wherein I already know what customer is doing in? And on top of that, can I do some kind of another automation? Instead of a man being there, can I have some process, automated process, keep calling and keep irritating, or keep making a happy, right? How AI is there to irritate or to enhance the overall experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So having this product in place, I mean, that's where the cloud journey, I mean, as I already said, Rapida basically is a born in cloud company. I mean, we provide majorly solutioning on AWS, but we started even engaging Azure too, right? So basically what we try to do is there are built-in solutions available. If I wanted to build exactly similar kind of a model from the scratch, it's going to take me around maybe 7 to 8 months to come up with those model and then provide a solution for you. Now, AWS or an Azure or those data science equipped services is going to come and tell, just use maybe 1 week or 2 weeks. I'm just going to give you those kind of solutions for you. And that's going to be a ready-made solutions available for you and then can solve a lot of problem for you. So only thing that I need to do is, I need to bring in those data into our cloud ecosystem. There are tools and techniques available which can curate it, which can massage it, and then go to the next level of consumption by different customer, right? So I can have a visualization in place. It can just consume it and start giving a much more insightful viewpoint for you, for taking your executive, for taking those decisions.
Yeah, great, exciting. What I have seen some of the banks outside of India or some large-scale bank inside India, they adopt big data and all those algorithms, workloads runs on cloud. So going forward, Topendra, what's your view on the cloud, right? So other side, we keep hearing a lot of news around some hack is happening or there is a lot of yes, no from the regulator end, although or it could be a mindset of all the banks, right? So what's your view? Is it really required now to go on the cloud and what could be the way considering data journeys or various facilities available on the cloud? Because if you have to run a particular algorithm for a huge set of data, 5 years before, it was very easy to do on a managed data center. But the way data is increasing, same transaction goes multifold, right? So transaction coming in, it will be operated having in big data, it will be in a reconciliation system. So we have no choice apart from either implement huge data storages at a data center or go ahead with the cloud where we can manage or upscale, downscale, elongate. What's your view, Topendra? Yeah.
Thank you. So in my previous point that I made, I actually mentioned, cost of storing data going down drastically. Yeah. It has been enabled by, of course, the cloud technologies. Now, whether we want to go to cloud or not, I don't think it is anymore an optional scenario. With the rims of data coming in and the way in which ML and AI is coming in terms of, the way it is getting implemented across various processes. To process a data like that, you need technology which is razor sharp. Yes. And you cannot bank on archaic boxes to store that data, both from a cost perspective as well as from a computing perspective. So to run the model, the AI models, you cannot have a scenario where your processing time is at a very lagged level or state. So you need that sharpness there. So therefore, to give you one perspective is that we are a multi-cloud scenario bank where we have adopted cloud in most of our activities. In fact, we are in the process of creating one of our largest transformation projects, which is a cloud native data platform, which is a consumer data platform which will get all data across multiple systems across the bank into one space and then harmonize it to actually create other use cases on top of it. Now the point is that why do we need it? See, if I have data stored in different systems and especially in static systems, and I can't stream that data into one space, there is no way in which I will be able to actually run an AI model on top of it or any type of a predictive model on top of it. It will always be lagged. So exactly what my friend mentioned out there. If I get a call, and I'm speaking more from a business use case perspective, if I get a call which does not recognize me in today's date, especially in this noisy environment, I am bound to not respond typically, and that's normal behavior. Now, but however, if I get a call where I am recognized, my activity has been recognized in some form, of course not too intrusive, but in some form, and therefore the person in front is speaking to me in my mind space, that is a much better reaction. So for that to happen, I need real-time streaming of data. right? I need that information in that space. And like I mentioned earlier, today's date with the adoption, and this actually got accelerated due to COVID, with the adoption of digital, there are streams and streams of data which is available. And this is not only the banking data or the transactional data of the customer, there is a whole lot of data which is there in the ecosystem through his digital footprint. Exactly what my friend said. Today, how does Netflix operate? Netflix is one of the best ways in which I see a lot of these OTT platforms actually pushing and promoting content out of the noise and trying to curate it for you. Now, these are things that can happen only when you have enough and more live scenarios of streaming data. And this actually shows how far we can go in terms of personalization. So to reach there, you need enablement, and the big tech companies across the board have been providing that. One last point. You mentioned about components. So in these cloud providers, there are very interesting components which are coming in today's date. So if you look at AWS or GCP or Azure, there are very interesting components that they are providing now because of the adoption, so that you can smartly conduct that data in a particular way and throw in use cases. So today that ease has happened in such a way that it is becoming more front-endal, and like I say, it's like Lego blocks coming together. So that's the simplicity with which everything is coming together. And therefore, if you say no to it, you will only stand away from it.
Yeah, I think fantastic views, Topendra. In interest of time and some of the fundamental aspect, right, RPA or AI journeys, we always have some challenges, and every organization has their own challenges, considering it could be a architecture level challenges to adopt that technology, or a culture, or having skill set, or not having skill set is another challenge. While we do this, there is a regulatory challenge. Why are you adopting AI? And at the end of a year, all know, right? We have to give RBI IT examination just to justify what is that you have done throughout the year, right? And is it aligned? Show us the evidences. All these things will come to us. So there are a lot of challenges. Let's talk about video KYC came into our life in 2019 with the SEBI has said, yeah, we are okay with video KYC. That is what RBI also adopted in 2020, and that's how it has helped many banks to do video KYC while customer was not able to reach to the branch, or branch people were not able to go to the customers' houses. But within a video KYC also, RBI says, that concurrent audit, which is the next level, has to be done manually. Right, so there comes RPA or AI, wherein you might have 3,000 customers today on video KYC, and algorithm says yes, all those videos are okay, and lastly one person comes and sees, yeah, it is being said that all are green. Let me say manually. Therein AI is there, but also we are adhering to the RBI's regulation. Manually it has to be done. So likewise, there are always challenges, and banks know how do we really mitigate those challenges with the technologies, with the proper governance. So Abhijit, what all challenges you have seen in your journey, and how you really mitigated those challenges?
Yeah, thanks, Prasanna. So it says that devil lies in details. The example of yours, I remember an old SBI story I heard. Sorry, I should have said a public bank, but not. Anyway, I taken the name. So apparently, the new photocopier machine has come. So scanning machine has come. So one young intelligent SBI PO came and said, "Look, there are so many room full of circulars. Why don't you scan and keep and destroy it?" So the senior said, "Why, fantastic idea." So they took a month to scan all of this, and he went back for the approval to, destroy it. See, the seniors looked into it and said, "Well, fine, you can destroy it, but as for a process, before destroying, you have to keep 2 photocopies and keep it. So take 2 photocopies and keep it, and keep your scan as it is." So it is again it is the people who run the technology, not the technology who runs the people. So in terms of the challenges what you face on the ground is the people who understand how to implement that particular technology. I'll take 4 points. One is, look, when you are having a tool like this, a real-time data analysis to come to sell or give customer a service, it requires a complete rethink of the business models. And that requires not a refresh on the way you think, also look into the global scenarios and realign your requirement to get through it. I've seen a lot of cases, people has created a big machinery, but they don't know how to actually use it. Number two is technology itself. In order to do this sort of RPA or AI-led, RPA AI fast scenarios, you have to re-architect your systems to have a digital data core. Now, we're talking about digital core. Now, unless you have a data core to supplement a digital core, it is not possible to do. And in order to create a data core, you require a different kind of wiring in a technology parlance, different kind of integrations internal technology parlance. And that requires time and effort. And you do a fast POC, you get a success, and suddenly you want to do a lot of things. And unless that platform is ready, you actually can't do it. So a little bit of cat and mouse game. Third is obviously the resource. In last 1 year, I think, anybody sitting on this room, if I say, do you have a resource problem? Everybody will raise their hand. In a sense, everybody asking 30%, and I really don't know where they're going. But but getting a right resource is, so look, this technology is new and niche. And getting and you need a guy who understands business and understands technology. Getting that combination is very, very difficult in the market. You actually make it a big scale product, you need those resources on board, and getting them is a challenge. And fourth and last thing is the data itself is a challenge. I'll explain what I mean. The example what Saji has gave, I went to a particular site and seen a 4-bedroom, went to Instagram, and put up a picture. So I am a very good candidate for home loan. Please note, these two data points are not with the bank. Now, bank need to get that decision, they have to go to that two sites. So while we can create the engineering muscle power, the core, which is the heart, the data is with the internet companies. So how that these two will merge, so that is the key of the challenge of the full thing to become a scalable product. But obviously the opportunities are there also in the market for that.
Yeah, great. I think just to summarize, skill set is a very important aspect around and what all processes, right? It's not that everything has to be automated. We need to see what is the priority process. You spoke about regulation part, data part. Technology itself is getting matured, so we need to see which algorithm to be fit in, followed by whether to adopt in-house or a partner, and finally it is all about the customer. We have Subramaniam. Subramaniam, what's your view around whether it should be an in-house journey or a hybrid journey, or depends upon organization to organization, right? Typically, fintechs will look at, let me have everything in-house because I am full of funds. But it's not the case with banks or any of those other regulated entities. So, your view, please.
My general view is that any strategy is good as long as you implement it. The problem is we start with a strategy, and then we see what the other guy is doing. We start with that strategy, then we take the third one. Any strategy is good, but on-prem versus cloud, so there are multiple options. On-prem, what is the challenge? Scalability, not adequate technologies. So cloud becomes a natural option. Then is it hybrid? Do you burst onto the cloud, or do you have on-prem for some use cases, cloud for some? Again, that is a strategy that the organization needs to take. Or do you go multi-cloud? You go multi-cloud if you don't want to have a vendor lock-in. Even that's good. But multi-cloud, I'm generally a bit wary of it, because multi-cloud means that you're not committing to any option. You always want to stand at the door without entering the house. So my general view is go all in. Try to use your on-prem resources. They use the words sweat the asset. Try to sweat the asset maximum. Then go to the cloud. Go to cloud native options. Try to use them to the fullest. Go as much all in as you feel that, there is some kind of an exit strategy, but don't have exit strategy at the top of your mind, because AI ML has come to the next level thanks to the options that are provided by the cloud providers. Because over the last 10 years, we had good options, but not something that was really requiring, it required a lot of skill sets at your end. But with the AI ML options that the cloud providers are providing, it has become commoditized. So it makes sense to use them, not to shun them away or start writing your own Python codes from the start. So that is my general messaging around this topic, Prasanna.
I think great. I think we are almost in time. Our organization is looking at us with happy faces. So I think last remark, I think what I have seen in my personal life, so when I learned my engineering, right, so database management and networks were the subjects. But today I think AI has already reached to the engineering, right? So if you talk about 7th, 8th standard, they are already learning Python. So I think our skill set problem may be resolved. I think AI is now a topic for at a country level where finance minister also putting a lot of money for research around, because we are not there great as far as other countries are concerned as far as research index. Similarly, we recently announced our AI strategy wherein more of every tech company is now adopting AI. I think journey is very good, right? I think everybody has understood artificial intelligence is now becoming a normal technology. There are other technologies to will pull on, like 5G will come to our life or wearables. So here onwards, we need to see, are we ready for those technologies while now this is already integrated. So I think, thank you so much for all the panels, Abhijit, Dominic, Topendra, Subramanian, Shaji,
Thanks.
for bringing a lot of insights to our audiences.